Hello, welcome to the American Red Cross of Virginia Disaster Cycle Services Department Orientation. My name is Dawn Moore, and I'm the Workforce Engagement Manager with the American Red Cross of Virginia. Welcome to the team. During this orientation, I will discuss the role of the DWET, the disaster cycle, and our mission, roles that enable us to fulfill our mission to include steady state and operational opportunities, and review expectations, minimum requirements, using volunteer connection and EDGE, and next steps. The Disaster Workforce Engagement Team, or DWET, has the responsibility of onboarding, interviewing, and assigning new disaster volunteers to positions. We also work with volunteers to establish a training and engagement plan according to volunteer interests and availability. We will refer new volunteers to their supervisor after onboarding for hands-on engagement, and we lead and support regional deployment, staffing, training, development, and engagement efforts. This also includes recognition and appreciation efforts. The Virginia region is comprised of 7 territories. Our disaster program in each of these 7 territories is managed by a disaster program manager and their leadership team. Volunteers have the ability to engage throughout the entire Virginia region as we are one Red Cross. And the DWET will provide you with our regional table of organization after you've completed onboarding. This is a map of the Virginia region and the 7 territories. The geography may vary in size contingent upon population density and disaster risk. Our mission, the American Red Cross prevents and alleviates human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the power of volunteers and the generosity of donors. The purpose of the disaster cycle is to build resilience by mitigating against the impact of disasters on clients, meeting urgent human needs, and facilitating recovery through both direct action and by leveraging and supporting the community's engagement. The Disaster Cycle Services Core Mission Areas, DCS is the acronym for Disaster Cycle Services, are prepare, respond, and recover. During this cycle, as we're preparing, we're initiating the programs, platforms, and tools that are used to educate and build resiliency in our community. The goal is to help our communities prevent emergencies when possible and to bounce back easier and more quickly when disasters do occur. During respond, we're meeting the emergency needs of clients impacted by disaster. And during recover, we're supporting clients and the community with recovery, bridging the gap between what the client can do for themselves and may need help with to recover. This cycle is ongoing. We're guided by our concept of operations, or CONOPS, which is a standardized management tool for meeting the demands of American Red Cross disaster relief and readiness operations of all types and sizes. It establishes our framework for response, which includes infrastructure, human and material resources, and programs and systems. Steady state versus operational response. When we're in steady state, it's normal operations or blue skies. We're preparedness and readiness focused, though disaster action teams or DAT teams, and we'll talk about those in a moment, may be responding to small-scale disaster events such as single or multifamily residential house fires. During operational response, we're engaged in a larger scale disaster relief operation within all or parts of our region and are engaging multiple groups in response activities. We may also be working with workforce from outside of the Virginia region, deploying in to supplement our human resource team. And during steady state or operational response, the Virginia region may be deploying workforce members to other parts of the United States to serve where there's need. Prepare opportunities. Let's talk about this. Preparedness is key, and it involves planning and initiatives to ready our workforce for the next big disaster, ensuring that we have the people and material resources ready to go. It also involves engaging our community in preparedness education and activities to promote safety and resiliency. So how do we prepare? In addition to planning, there are 4 primary program opportunities in which we're engaging Red Cross volunteers, to include the Pillowcase Project, Pedro the Penguin, which is a brand new program, Home Fire Campaign, or Sound the Alarm, and Community Disaster Education. Disaster education. The Pillowcase Project is for children in grades 3 through 5 and teaches them about personal and family preparedness for local hazards and home fires. Volunteers spanning all lines of service in the American Red Cross can sign up for community disaster education events, such as providing information at an informational booth or providing a preparedness presentation tailored to the audience's needs. The Home Fire Campaign was launched in 2014 with 3 primary goals: to reduce home fire deaths and injuries by 25% by the end of 2019, increase the number of home fire responses by 10% by the end of 2019, and to serve more clients within our community and improve our services to them. To date, we've saved over 500 lives through this campaign. We accomplish these goals through canvassing efforts or rallies within our community, especially those that are high risk, providing preparedness, education, and installing smoke alarms free of charge. We have independent home fire campaign opportunities throughout our region, and we do a blitz annually called Sound the Alarm. This is a fun opportunity. You can sign up when opportunities are scheduled, and we do partner with many exciting and wonderful organizations such as local fire departments, churches, clubs, and other groups. Respond opportunities. The Disaster Action Team is the heart of our disaster program and provides 24-hour emergency response to local disasters that happen within our communities. The Disaster Action Teams, or DATs, D-A-T, address the immediate disaster calls needs of clients. Services provided may include financial assistance, health or mental health services, disaster spiritual care, and recovery planning and support. Disaster Action Team members sign up to be on call during designated shifts to respond to immediate disaster-related needs in the community. The most common response is to single and multifamily residential house fires, but the Disaster Action Team may respond to other events as well. The expectations of a Disaster Action Team member is that they be compassionate, possess active listening skills, and be able to work in often stressful and emotional conditions. There are also physical capacities that a Disaster Action Team member must agree to. They must have the availability to commit to on-call shift work. Typically, we ask for a commitment of 4 12-hour shifts monthly, though that may vary from territory to territory. It's important also that Disaster Action Team members on call respond when called. If we're not able to reach you, service to our client is delayed. Additionally, this requires a commitment of completing training requirements within 6 months while engaging in hands-on training opportunities. Please note, some areas in the region are more prone to fire responses and other disaster responses than others, so the number of opportunities may vary. Consider engaging in other activities within the Red Cross to fulfill your minimum service requirement. If you happen to live in an area where we don't see as many fire responses, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later in the presentation. Scaling up. Most of the situations that you will respond to as a disaster action team member will be small, but large responses will happen with and without notice. Disaster action team members are expected to support larger responses that may happen in the territory, and you may be asked to engage in support of key activities such as sheltering, feeding, and possibly work in other ways as well. The expectation is not that you remain in these roles for a prolonged period of time, but that you support the operation by supporting the stand-up of these activities while we work on engaging other qualified team members, such as sheltering responders, feeding responders, and logistical volunteers, and others, to support the operation. Occasionally, you may also be asked to travel outside of your immediate territory to respond to a disaster situation, though that is rare, and we can talk to you at greater detail about the geography that you'll be serving within when you get through orientation and work with your supervisor. There are groups, activities, and positions, or gaps, that are engaged during larger scale responses. In addition to disaster action teams, there are many rewarding activities that are engaged. These opportunities will be reviewed in the next training that you will be asked to complete. We want to touch today on the benefits of training for at least one gap in addition to your disaster action team position or in lieu of it. Benefits of training for one or more of these positions include giving our DAT responders the ability to seamlessly transition into larger scale disaster response. Many activities are represented as a gap, such as feeding, as mentioned, sheltering, client casework, health, mental health services, logistics, disaster assessment, and more. So having a gap, being trained and qualified in one or more of these areas allows you as a disaster action team responder to move onto a larger scale operation simply by turning your hat around. You can also be mobilized to serve on a regional disaster relief operation or DRO. You can deploy nationally at the Red Cross's expense, which typically requires a 2-week commitment, sometimes less for some activities. And the benefits of deploying are multiple. You can gain rewarding experience while serving in the field, meet new team members from all over the country, and explore promotional opportunities. And for those that really like to respond to the big stuff, deployment gives you the opportunity to do that more frequently. During recover, which is the third part of the disaster cycle, the American Red Cross supports the recovery of our clients through casework and recovery planning. And examples include, but are not limited to, client follow-up, referral to other agencies, financial assistance, additional financial assistance, application support for FEMA assistance as an example, if available. And of course, we're engaging disaster health services, mental health services, disability integration, and disaster spiritual care as needed to engage in support of client recovery. The American Red Cross does not serve alone in our communities. We work with a variety of government and non-government agencies, and we will be a facilitator during community recovery efforts, working with a variety of organizations to meet clients' ongoing recovery needs. Expectations, resources, and next steps. The general expectations of DCS, or Disaster Cycle Services volunteers, are as follows. You must sign into your Volunteer Connection account monthly to remain active. And we need you to communicate changes to your availability and interests so that we can provide you with the best experience and customer service possible. Be an active participant in your volunteer experience. Please ensure that you're reading your volunteer handbook and that you're addressing any questions you have about processes, policies, procedures, and that you're letting us know if you have any dissatisfaction in your volunteer role so that we can help you either work through problems that you might be encountering or even help you explore other opportunities. We ask that you log your volunteer hours monthly. It helps us to report to supporters and funders what our volunteers are doing. We can put a dollar amount to the hours that you contribute, which demonstrates the financial impact that our volunteers are making. Hours are also monitored by national headquarters and audited regularly. So we want to look good as not only a region, but as individual territories and individual volunteers within a region. It shows just how active our volunteers are, and probably more importantly, provides us the ability to recognize our volunteers for the time and contributions made. 1 hour of log service is the requirement. Just 1 hour to remain active with the American Red Cross as a volunteer. And you can log hours for training, meetings, interviews, workshops, or exercises. Even this orientation here counts. Community disaster education events, and that would include home fire campaign, pillowcase, and any other community event with Red Cross that you engage in. Response hours or on-call hours. That would exclude, of course, disaster relief operation hours, as those are automatically tracked. And of course, engagement in other lines of service counts too. You have many different options to customize your volunteer experience. We do recruit for positions based upon our need through a needs assessment process. But we want you to choose positions that are available and needed that best match your interests and your availability. We want you to have fun while you're contributing your volunteer hours. So how do you log your volunteer hours? There are 3 ways that hours can be logged. A staff member or another volunteer who has certain rights and permissions can log hours manually for you. You can log hours yourself via Volunteer Connection, or you can use the Volunteer Connection app. Today, we're going to focus on how you can log your hours by logging onto the website on a desktop or laptop. Log in. You're going to go to our Volunteer Connection website. You log in with the email you used to sign up to register as a volunteer. And from that login page, if you've forgotten your password, you can reset it right there. Once you log in, you locate the Add Hours button at the bottom of your home screen. And this is what a typical Volunteer Connection homepage looks like. And here's the Add Hours button. Once you click that button, you'll be prompted to input some information. On the next screen, you'll select or fill in the date, hours, minutes worked, activity name, or a brief description of what you've done, the hours type, which will be either worked or on call, and you'll select the position associated with the activity from the provided dropdown. Some volunteers will have multiple positions to choose from, and it's important that you select the position that aligns with the activity. Then you'll click Submit Hours for a single entry, or Submit and add another if you'd like to input multiple entries. It's important that if you're submitting your hours to a paid staff member or another volunteer who will input your hours for you, that you're providing the same information, as they'll be filling a similar form in Volunteer Connection for you. So hopefully this sounds good and you're ready to get started. So what's your next step? The next step is for you, if you haven't already, to complete the Disaster Cycle Services and Overview course and Concept of Operations. Basics. These courses are both located in EDGE, our learning management system. We ask that you please complete these trainings within 7 days. They're very short and they provide further orientation to the American Red Cross Disaster Cycle Services. We also ask that within 7 days, you schedule and complete an interview, second interview, and career path discussion with your DWET representative. And we'll talk about the interview and career path discussion in a moment. Now you have two options. We can register you for Disaster Cycle Services and Overview and Concept of Operations Basics, but you also have the ability to register yourself. The next few slides briefly describe how you would do that. To access EDGE from your home page, you'll notice here underneath your name, towards the top middle of the page, there's a link for EDGE. Click the link. On the next page, if we have already registered you for the course, there are two spots that you can look at to find and launch your training. On your homepage, under the My Training section, you will find the courses that you're currently registered for. Just a few will be listed. And you can click Launch beside the course that you wish to launch. Please be mindful that you have to have pop-up blockers disabled on your computer, and Google Chrome is the preferred browser to use to launch American Red Cross training. We do have troubleshooting tips to help you if you're using Safari as an example, or if you get stuck. If you get stuck, we do have some great troubleshooting tips to help. So please, if you get stuck on a course, don't worry, give us a call, and your DWET representative would be happy to provide you further troubleshooting tips to help you get through. Also, you'll notice on our actual homepage within EDGE, you'll find our IT number to our IT service desk. You can also find IT right here. It's covered up by this arrow, but you can also find the number to IT through Volunteer Connection by clicking the IT service desk. And that would be the toll-free number that you would call if you needed support while using EDGE. But there are a lot of things that we're able to help you with. An example, we have the ability to manually credit you for completion of a course. So if you get stuck after you've completed taking the test, please don't feel like you have to take the whole course over again. Just please outreach with any trouble. We will expediently either point you in the right direction or provide real-time troubleshooting support. So back to the topic. To access your training, you have the option of looking under My Training and launching your course right there, or you can click My Transcript, and you may have to do that if you're registered for quite a few courses. And when you go to your transcript, the courses that you're registered for will look a lot like they do here on the home page. You'll just click Launch beside the course that you're interested in taking. You also, if you prefer to register yourself for the courses, you can click from your home page the Browse for Training icon, or simply in the search bar at the top of the screen, type in a couple of keywords that are part of the training name. And then you search, and the system should populate courses that contain those keywords. The two icons that you need to be familiar with are the little calendar icon and the monitor icon. The monitor icon is going to represent an online or web-based training. Some courses are also posted to EDGE as YouTube videos as well. The calendar represents an actual session, and sessions represent live instructor-led trainings or virtual instructor-led trainings. So you want to be careful with these, especially to make sure that you're paying attention to where the courses are located, and also if they are also if it's an instructor-led web-based course or otherwise. So pay attention to the details, and to request, you click Request, and you would follow the prompts from there to register. For an online training, you click Assign, and that course should automatically reflect on your transcript, and you can launch it when you're ready. You also have the option, and your disaster workforce engagement team member will talk to you more about this after you've gone through onboarding. But we also have curriculums within Edge that really makes it easy for you to register for training with us. So for example, if you wanted to be a sheltering responder, there is a curriculum in Edge already for our sheltering service associates. And you can click on that curriculum and you'll automatically be registered for all of the training that comprises that curriculum. On your transcript, you're able to view and print your completion certificates. When you go to your transcript, this icon or this little drop down button right here is going to default to active. So it's going to show you initially all of the training that you're currently either registered for or you're in the process of completing. If you want to view your completed training, you'll need to change this from active to completed. Then the system will update and populate your completed courses. And to view or print a certificate, you simply click View Certificate and follow the prompts from there. We do not require that you provide us a certificate for your completed training in Edge because Edge tracks your training for you. However, you may want to provide us copies of trainings or copies of completion certificates that you complete for other organizations. Some FEMA training, an example, we have the ability of logging that completion in Edge directly. Others we can add to your volunteer connection profile as other training, and we do have the ability to upload certificates. So what will we discuss during your second interview or career path? We've talked about the courses that we ask you to take, the 2 classes that you'll need to complete before your second interview, and we've shown you how you can access that training. During the interview, the Disaster Workforce Engagement Team, or DWET representative, will answer any questions you might have, confirm or review your interests, or help match you to roles if you're not quite sure, for which your availability and interest lend well. We'll also review additional training requirements and documentation to review that you might need to review and submit. We'll request a photo for your name badge if you've not already uploaded a photo to Volunteer Connection, and we'll answer any questions you might have about using our systems such as Edge, Volunteer Connection, and the Exchange. And best of all, we'll connect you to your supervisor. You may have more than one, contingent upon your selected roles. They're going to help you get started by providing local orientation and activity-specific orientation. They're going to give you the tools that you need so that you can get started with hands-on engagement. Then we'll provide a summary of your interview or career path discussion. That's both for your benefit so that you have a written reference as to what we've discussed during our interview. And also, it's an introduction to your supervisors. That will also include the disaster program manager or specialist that manages the disaster program in your area. You can expect to hear from your supervisor within 7 days for additional orientation and engagement. And the Disaster Workforce Engagement Team, or DWET, remains available to support you each step of the way. We encourage you to check out available resources and to stay connected with us as you move through the initial steps of your volunteering. Now, Volunteer Connection is an excellent tool for you, and we encourage you to check it out. There are different tabs to include the My Chapter tab on your home screen, and let me show you what a home screen looks like. This is what a volunteer's homepage would look like, and you have different tabs: Home, My Profile, My Chapter, My NHQ, My Groups, My Shifts, Opportunities, and My Reports. Now on the My Chapter tab, this contains information about our region, upcoming events, updates, trainings, etc. On the My Groups tab, this is linked to your positions with the Red Cross. So for example, if you're a community ambassador, you'll find information about that opportunity to include events, meetings, and from that group, from your groups, you can share your experiences or questions with others. We call those groups group shares and this tab will link you to the groups that you're associated with. On My Shifts, this is where you would go to access your on-call calendar or to access other opportunities that you can sign up for. And finally, the Opportunities tab lists the current volunteer opportunities. So if you decide you want to learn new things or check out a different role, you can check out position descriptions by searching on opportunities, and you can apply for positions as suits your interest. There is also a My Profile tab, which you will use to update information. And if you become a disaster services responder, this is where you'll go to update your system, your responder availability. The My NHQ tab is going to provide some links and important information from national headquarters and also possibly link you to different information that's specific if you hold a national position. And My Reports here, this is a self-reporting section of Volunteer Connection where you can go to access your volunteer hours. So check it out sometime. And we've already showed you here in the center of the page where you can access Edge, the Exchange, IT Service Desk, and underneath IT Service Desk, there's a resource library that you can click. And in that resource library, you'll find some helpful tips on navigating and making the most of Volunteer Connection, and other important topics that you might want to check out. Very quickly, let's talk about accessing the Exchange, which is the American Red Cross's intranet. That is just a single click from your volunteer homepage. And when you're on the Exchange, you have the ability to search for a wealth of information and topics. This is where you'll find our activity toolkits, our doctrine, additional guidance, and updates. To search for a topic, all you do is put in some keywords into the search bar here, click the magnifying glass, and then you're able to search and research as you please. We will often link to information on the Exchange, so it's important that you familiarize yourself with navigating the intranet. Remember that the DWET is here to support you. Listed here are your points of contact per area. If you need help with Volunteer Connection, logging your hours, or wish to report your hours to a member of our team, you can email James Maddox. If you get stuck training, feel free to reach out to your DWET representative. I'm also happy to help, and you can reach me at this email address here. I thank you so much for taking the time to review this orientation. We're very excited to have you on board and look forward to working with you. Please don't hesitate to outreach if you have any questions or concerns, and we look forward to guiding you through the next steps and helping you get started. Thanks so much.